your host, Nizzy. And in this video, you guys are going to be going through our NFL Power Rankings after the Week 9. Just finished up here. Obviously, we're getting into Week 10, starting off with some Thursday Night Football tonight. Not a great game, I wouldn't say. We got the Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins coming up on Thursday Night Football. Should be a get-right game for the Ravens. I expect them to absolutely dominate the Miami Dolphins in tonight's game. You know, be exciting, I guess, for the fans of the team, but as a Packers fan, it's not going to be a great game to watch for all of us NFL fans out there. I think it's going to be a domination start to finish by the Ravens. I don't think it's going to be a close one, in my opinion. But before Week 10 kicks off, you guys, I just want to come out with a video doing the NFL Power Rankings and have the top 10 teams through 9 weeks of the season and do a little recap of Week 9 for you guys. Before we go ahead and get started here, you guys, you can go ahead and like this video if you like sporting content like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. Been getting a lot of support lately from you guys, and I greatly appreciate it. We'll keep coming out with as much content as possible here in the near future. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start breaking down the NFL Power Rankings. After Week 9 finished up, you guys, we'll start off in the number 10 spot. Here, finally making the top 10 for the first time this season. We got the New England Patriots, you guys. Big-time dominating win over the Carolina Panthers last weekend by a final score of 24-6. Mac Jones is looking real good. He's starting to really progress as a rookie quarterback. He's looking like one of the better rookie quarterbacks out of the draft class this year. Obviously, went to a great organization with one of the best head coaches, if not the best head coach in the league, and Bill Belichick there. So you expect him to have a little more success than some of these other guys like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, who went to just absolute trash organizations, who have been bad for so long. You expect them to struggle a little bit earlier on. But Mac Jones has been nothing short of phenomenal so far this season. He's really starting to get into a rhythm and flow out there with that offense. The last couple of weeks, I thought he's done a real good job. Patriots have improved to a 5-4 record now. I believe they're in the 7th seed in the AFC conference right now for the wild card spot. Their defense is elite. They've had really good performance from Matthew Judon, who they picked up from the Ravens in the offseason there. Signed him to a long-term contract, I believe 2 or 3 years. He's looked outstanding for them. Obviously having a bunch of guys coming back to the squad as well, who ended up opting out last season. Guys like Dante Hightower, and a few other guys there as well. I think McCourty, one of their cornerbacks, also opted out last year. He's back in the fold here. So the Patriots are looking destined for a playoff spot this year, you guys. I don't expect them to slow down at this point. I think they're going to continue to progress and definitely be in that playoff race come the end of the season here. So that's why I got the Patriots in the 10 spot. And over to the number 9 spot, you guys. Now this team has taken a fall from grace here. I had them in my top 3 for the last, few weeks. Quite a few weeks they've been in my top 3 here, but they've just had some bad losses here in the last couple. And that's the Buffalo Bills, you guys. They're 5-3 on the season. Absolutely atrocious loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars by a final score of 9-6. I mean, how in the fuck did they fucking only get 6 points, man? I mean, just blew my mind. Josh Allen was not able to get it going. The other Josh Allen for the Jacksonville Jaguars was absolutely lighting up Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Bills. I believe he picked him off, had a sack on him. Just doing everything he could for his team there to get that victory. Just crazy, man. I don't think anyone expected the Buffalo Bills to lose that game. I definitely didn't. I had money on the Buffalo Bills winning that game. Obviously lost that bet. They haven't really had a great run game, the Buffalo Bills, either. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons they've been struggling as of late. There's just too much pressure on Josh Allen to be able to do it all between the run game and the pass game. I just don't feel they have a high quality enough of a run game to be able to take a little bit of the pressure off of their quarterback there. They're definitely going to need to get that sorted out in this offseason. I think they need a big bruiser back. That's something that they've been lacking over the last few years. I don't mind Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. They're good kind of, elusive backs. They're a little bit on the smaller stature. They're good at finding the holes, making the cutbacks and things like that. But when you need a big bruiser to come in there and pound the rock and get those extra yards after contact, they're going to need to find a guy like that. I think this offseason, kind of like how the Packers got A.J. Dillon to go alongside Aaron Jones there, just a big bruiser back who can pound the rock and really tire out that defense. I think that's what the Buffalo Bills are missing. I think that's what they're going to have to acquire here. If they're going to want to make a big push in the playoffs. We'll have to see what happens. I'm sure they'll be able to bounce back and get some wins here. Obviously, it's been a tough stretch the last couple of games for them. But at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills will still be in talks for coming out of the AFC, going to a Super Bowl this year. But for now, we'll leave them in that 9 spot, you guys, until we see some improvement from them over the next couple of games. Over in the 8 spot, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 5-3. Ended up hanging on for a tight win over the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 27-24 over the weekend. Another one of those teams that, had a real hot start to the season, have kind of slowed down and petered out a little bit here in the last few weeks. Hasn't been as impressive. Justin Herbert hasn't looked as good as he did last year. Still a great quarterback, still working through some things. Obviously, it's only his second season in the league, new head coach, new system to be getting used to and all that. But still like the Chargers' chances. I definitely think they're a playoff caliber team. Like I said, it's been an up and down season for them. But I think they're going to be able to perform well down the stretch run here in these final set of games here, pushing towards a good playoff spot. I wouldn't be surprised if they are still going to be competing for their division at the end of the season. I could see the Chargers taking that division, especially with Kansas City kind of being up and down this year. They haven't looked like their championship contender selves so far, so it's a good opportunity for the Chargers to take over and possibly get that division win at the end of the season here. So then over to the number 7 slot, you guys. Another fall from grace here. The Dallas Cowboys, 6-2 on their season now. Absolute atrocious loss to the Denver Broncos. Everyone thought the Denver Broncos could be written off after trading Von Miller to the LA Rams. And then they come out and have an absolute defensive gem of a performance against this potent Dallas offense. Dak kind of had to fall back down to earth, kind of looked like a normal quarterback last week. Didn't have a great game. Didn't have a great game from the run game either in that one. The defense was exposed. Trevon Diggs, isn't looking as good as he was the first few weeks of the season. Now that guys know that he's able to get those interceptions, they're kind of throwing a little bit smarter, and trying to expose him a little bit, which he has been exposed on the back end a little bit in a few games now. I expect them to bounce back still. I still think Dallas is a playoff team by far. I definitely think they're going to win their division this year, possibly be able to get out of that first round and get into a divisional matchup in the NFC there. But for now, we'll leave them in that 7 spot after a tough loss to Denver there. In the number 6 spot, you guys, we've got the Los Angeles Rams. Also there from a tough loss to the Titans. Dropped them a few spots from the week prior to that. Obviously losing that game by a final score of 28-16. 7-2 record on the season. Big time splash news today. The LA Rams end up going and getting OBJ. Sign him to a 1-year deal. Obviously picking up Von Miller in a trade with Denver as well. These guys are going all in this year. Got Matthew Stafford in the offseason. OBJ is going to be a nice addition to go alongside Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Van Jefferson there. So I think the Rams are going to be definitely a championship contender this year. It's just going to be a matter of if you can have all this high-end talent mesh together well. And the one thing about that as well, you guys, no matter, you could put as many good players on your team as you want, but you still got to go out there and play the game. You still got to go out there and give 110% effort on every single play to be able to win in this league. And just because you got a bunch of talent on your team doesn't mean you're going to be able to win a bunch of games. And, it just doesn't guarantee that the Los Angeles Rams doesn't guarantee them a championship just because they decide to go out and get Von Miller and OBJ. Does it help their chances? Absolutely, but you still got to go play the games in hand. You still got to be able to beat on other teams and get those victories. So we'll have to see what happens, you guys. Bad game for Matt Stafford in that one too against the Titans. Had that pick 6, had a couple interceptions, I believe, total in the game. But like I said, with their additions and everything, I expect them to bounce back and be in contention at the end of the season. It's just a matter of if they'll be able to get over that final hump and make it back to another Super Bowl. And then the 5 slot, you guys, we've got the Baltimore Ravens winning a close one over the Vikings over the weekend by a final score of 34-31. In overtime, another real close game, close victory, come from behind victory for the Baltimore Ravens. Another little bit of Lamar magic there, leading his team down 2 scores, being able to come back, push it into overtime, and then get the game-winning field goal. And then on the other side of things, another weird one for the Vikings, another close loss for the Vikings there. Baltimore's 6-2 on their season now. I would expect the Ravens to be able to win this division. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to catch up with them. But you still want to see a little bit more from this team. You'd like to see them close out games a little bit earlier and not have to come from behind and push it into overtime. They've had a few games like that this year. Probably the most notable one was against the Detroit Lions, where they had to kick a 66-yard NFL record field goal just to be able to hang on for the victory over the Lions. So, you're not going to be able to get away with that against the good teams in the playoffs, I don't believe. So Baltimore's going to have to clean that up a little bit, but I expect them to be able to do that, obviously being a good quality team, well-rounded team with a good coach and a good quarterback. So that's why I got Baltimore in the 5 slot right now, you guys. And over to the number 4 slot, we got the Tennessee Titans. These guys have continued to prove everybody wrong over the last few weeks. Huge wins against the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, as well as now beating the Los Angeles Rams. which is a huge victory without their starting running back, Derrick Henry, going down with an ankle injury. Ended up having to go for surgery, so he might be done for the year. We're going to have to see if he was able to come back for a playoff run. But nonetheless, you got to love to see the Tennessee Titans squad stepping up, regardless of losing their best player. 7-2 on the season. Obviously, they had that one terrible loss to the New York Jets, but other than that, they've been pretty solid all year long. The defense has been huge for them so far. I mean, that was probably the area of weakness last year. I would say it's becoming an area of strength for them, that their pass rush is much improved. Simmons had an outstanding game, 3-sack game against the Rams. Byard had a pick there. I think he had the pick 6 there. So they've been a lot better on the back end as well. Just like what I've seen from that Tennessee defense so far this year, I thought they've done a lot better job comparatively to last season and making those improvements. And obviously the addition of Julio Jones is a big one for them. A.J. Brown's still been outstanding there at the wide receiver slot. So I like what I've seen from this team, and the fact that they keep proving everyone wrong and continue to win football games is why I got them in the number 4 spot, you guys. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 3, 6-2 on their season. They're coming off a bye week last week. Much needed bye week for this squad, in my opinion. Obviously, they need to get healthy on that defensive side of the ball. Their secondary is absolutely mangled with injury right now. They've had some injuries. Antonio Brown's been dealing with some injuries. Rob Gronkowski obviously had those broken ribs and the punctured lung there, so he's been missing some time. So that's, that bye week's going to help them to just, get some guys healthy, get back in the flow here. Coming off a bye week, there's no damn way Tom Brady's going to be losing coming off a bye week, in my opinion. I expect them to bounce back here, get a win, push to 7-2 this weekend. Obviously, they're still top 10 in offense and possible to be top 10 in defense here. They still got one of the best run defenses in the league. And you can never count Tom Brady out. He's looking like an MVP candidate right now, if not the MVP of the league at this point in the season, you guys. So that's why I got Tampa Bay in the number 3 spot. In the number 2 spot, I got the 7-2 Green Bay Packers, coming off a loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, 13-7 over the weekend. Jordan Love's first start as a pro didn't look very good, in my opinion. I don't know why we didn't run the ball more in that game. Obviously, no Aaron Rodgers made a big difference in that one. I think if A-Rod would have been playing, would have been like a 30-13 just dustation. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Love wasn't able to seize the day. Our defense played really well, holding Kansas City to 13 points. We got a top 10 defense so far this year. I mean, the defense has improved so much for the Green Bay Packers this season comparatively to seasons past. Joe Barry's done a phenomenal job. Our linebacker core is looking like an area of strength, which we haven't been able to say about the Green Bay Packers in years past. Devondre Campbell's looking like one of the top middle linebackers in the league so far this year. He ended up getting Defensive Player of the Month for October. Just an outstanding season so far from him. He's been a great off-season addition for the Green Bay Packers. I expect a big bounce back with Aaron Rodgers back in the lineup against the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. And even in that game that we did lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, we had a chance to push it to OT if we wouldn't have had those absolute blunders on special teams there with the blocked field goal and then a missed field goal. If those 2 field goals go in, it's a 13-13 game. And not to mention the fact that we had that touched ball on the fair catch on the punt return there. That ended up giving them a 1st and goal against us as well. If those 3 blunders didn't happen on special teams, there's a good chance the Green Bay Packers would have been able to win that game. So I still think we got a phenomenal squad. The Green Bay Packers do. I think our defense is much improved comparatively to the last couple of years. With Aaron Rodgers back in the fold, that makes us a top 5, top 10 offense right quick. So that's why I got the Green Bay Packers in the number 2 spot, you guys. And then obviously in the number 1 spot, jump back into the number 1, taking over the Packers. And that's the Arizona Cardinals at 8-1, you guys. I mean, I don't think anybody expected this team to be able to win, especially the way they won over the 49ers over the weekend with Colt McCoy as their starting quarterback. Obviously, Kyler Murray was down with injury. D-Hop was down with injury. J.J. Watt's done for the season. And to have that type of performance from a lot of backups, James Conner was outstanding in that game. Just a huge performance from him, huge performance from Colt McCoy. Cliff Kingsbury, dialed up a phenomenal game plan. He looked like hands down the better coach in that game comparatively to Shanahan, who's on a bit of a hot seat right now with a terrible season so far for the 49ers. They have not been very good. And it doesn't look like they're going to be even close to making the playoffs this year. So, I mean, just an all-around great performance from Arizona, being able to hang on, missing, their top 2 players in Kyler Murray and D-Hop. both being out of that game and still be able to absolutely pound the 49ers 31-17 is very impressive. They're looking like a complete team right now, Arizona is. And that's why I got them in the number 1 spot, you guys. So that rounds the top 10 NFL power rankings after week 9. Like I said, week 10 starting off tonight with Miami and Baltimore. I'm taking Baltimore all the way in that game, you guys. I'll probably have a video coming out tomorrow with my NFL game picks. So you heard it here first, the Thursday nighter. I'm picking Baltimore, even though I'll have that on my list for tomorrow's video coming out to you guys. But without further ado, you guys, that wraps up this video. Please go ahead and comment in the comment section down below. What do you guys have in your top 10 right now for the NFL power rankings? And what games are you guys looking forward to coming up this weekend, going into week 10 of the NFL season, you guys? Please go ahead and like this video if you like sporting content like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, man. And this is Nizzy with Nizzy Sports Chat.